Hi, Tug Toller with Paradigm. We're going to do a little recipe video for some smoked pulled pork in our Convotherm Combi oven. Okay guys, so here we are. We're going to need to do a rub first, and I have two different pork shoulders. You also might hear them called a butt, a Boston butt. You might also see a picnic roast. All of them really are the same thing. It's just kind of the cut and what is included in it. So I actually have a picnic roast. That's what this guy is here. So that is not actually fat. That is the skin of the pig still. And you can kind of see that this was the bottom of the joint. So imagine this being like this, and then there'd be another piece up here. So a picnic roast is always that bottom of that shoulder. It's the front shoulder. I know it's called a butt, but it's the front shoulder of a pig. It's not the back. That's where the ham comes from. So this is a picnic roast. If you've ever seen that, it typically is still going to have the skin on and bone, and it's the bottom half of the shoulder. This is a boneless version. I typically do bone in, mainly because they tend to keep the fat cap a little bit bigger. But here's the fat cap for this guy. They went ahead and removed the bone. It doesn't matter. We can do it boneless or bone in, and it's not going to matter that this guy's bone in and this guy isn't, because pork is really very, very forgivable, okay? So we'll go ahead and rub these, and then we'll put them in the combi. So things we're gonna need, we need on our combi, we have a smoker. So these are just, I call them sawdust pucks. Bradley is usually the manufacturer. These are oak. These are actually oak barrel, Jack Daniels, I believe. We have, you can do, apple is typically one I like to do, cherry, things like that for pork especially. The fruit trees tend to be really good. You can do whatever you want. Hickory, in this case obviously oak. And now we're going to go ahead and put on the rub. And one real important thing is we have this pan here. The pan I'm using to put the rub on the product. I'm going to leave whatever bits that don't get on the pork itself. We're going to put that underneath the oven. So these are going to go directly on the rack. I'm going to put the probe in. I'll show you here in a second. And then I'm going to put this pan that has a little bit of the seasonings left from us putting the dry rub on. And I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar to the bottom of that as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to capture the renderings, and I'll show you guys all that tomorrow, because we're going to be cooking this overnight. Let's put this to work while no one's here. All right, so this is our 620. This is a spritzer model, so this is a CET, or C4, excuse me, ET 620 ES, an electric spritzer model. It's GS, it's a gas spritzer. Spec sheet takes care of all that. So I have my loaded wood chip tray, right? You can use real wood chips. You can use pellets now if you even want to. Typically in the past we've always said just use the pucks, but now you can actually use both. I find a nice mixture of the wood chips, the half soaked and half not, really does a pretty good job. So if you look down here, that's a heating element back there. Looks like a cow rod element, kind of like what's in your toaster ovens at home. And there's a little hole over here on this side, right? That is going to go right over that. And then we have the handle that's removable. Okay, I like to put it up here. So I'm just going to pull this shelf out and put the pork down onto it. I like to typically season the pork a day ahead of time. Just give that seasoning time to really penetrate into that product. All right, we're going to put that way. Next, we're going to grab the probe that is part of this oven. We're going to put it, this one that's bigger, because it's going to be a better idea. You got to watch out for the bone. You don't want to have it actually touch the bone. You can kind of be near it into the thickest part of that pork. We're going to put that in. Now that I'm done touching that, I can remove these, throw them in the trash can down there. So we still have a little bit of the dripping thingy, right? Like a little bit of left. We're going to put that directly below. I'm going to grab some of our trusty apple cider vinegar. I'm just going to pour a little bit of apple cider vinegar directly down in there. Now, if you can see, I put that to where all the renderings, all the captured, the fat that gets cooked off, the juices that fall off, in a typical smoker that would just be at the bottom and something that you have to clean later. Now we're capturing that, and you'll see what we do with it. It's liquid gold. On our programs, this is what our home menu looks like. I actually have one already programmed, and I'll show you the steps that's in it. Here's Tug's pulled pork probe right there. So if I hit this down here, it's going to show us the list of all the steps. I have 7 steps. It's one of the cutest things I get to when I want to get real cute on smoking. So this last step down here is a hold step. And I'm really not putting in, I have a couple of little steps with Combi just to add some moisture into the cavity, but because of that advanced closed system, we're not having to worry about that. So these are the steps, and this last one is just a hold step, and it's going to stay there until we come in tomorrow morning, okay? So we're good there. I'll get back out. Go back to this. We'll go ahead and hit start. It's going to tell us insert smoke box. We already did. Load now. We've done that. The probe is in. This is done. I'm done with this until tomorrow. The longer you let it hold on that last step, the more it can kind of fall apart at the end as far as tenderness, right? And you'll see in the morning what it's going to look like. It's going to look like it's old and brown and has smoke all over it, but it'll get itself nice and clean thereafter. So we'll see you in the morning. Here we are. It's morning. I have a different chef coat because I got the other one dirty yesterday. Let's see what we got. So right now it's still in that last step. It's 165 degrees. It's just been holding since it got done with the last step before that, which was kind of a holding step also that helps really render the fat out. All right, so we open the door, take the probe out. We can throw the probe down. We can see inside how fun dirty it looks a little. Here's the renderings. I'll show you what to do with these in a second. So I'll just put these off to the side. So we got the pork butt one. That's the picnic. And this is just the butt. And I'll see you here in a second. We'll go through them. Remember that rendering? That's this right here. The real benefit is being able to capture this. I'm going to put it through a sieve real quick and strain it. Nice thing to do with this is to now take this and put it into a blast chiller, into a refrigerator, let it separate out. That fat will go to the top, it'll solidify, the juice will go below, and we're going to skim that, so we'll do that here in a bit. Now, we're going to go ahead and pull this. Easy thing. Especially if it doesn't have a bone, you just can push down. If you want to pull out the extra pieces, some people like to call it moist or fatty, whichever you want to call it. You can leave that in, it's not a problem, or you can take it out. I tend to take out about half of it personally. For the most part, I don't really keep the skin, right? I can kind of go through and pull this part out that has some meat there, but otherwise we'll put that off to the side. Now that we've done that, if you're going to be holding it for a while, keep it in bigger chunks. If it's something that we're going to be serving pretty much right away, you can go ahead and bring it all the way down. After that, now we're going to make some coleslaw and make a little sandwich. All right, if you want, we're going to make some quick coleslaw. I'm not a big fan of a huge amount of mayo in there, but put that there. We'll put a little apple cider vinegar, hashtag nailed it. Get some salt, a good amount of that, pepper, and a little lemon juice. If you want, you can put a little sugar in, just a little sugar. Don't need a lot because the apple cider vinegar and the lemon juice will take care of that. So then you just make your little dressing. Remember, this was the renderings. We went ahead and chilled it down. You're gonna have to get a little close here. So now you see that nice fat there? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. I like to use a slotted spoon. I'm gonna actually keep this fat. You can use this now for, let's say, confit, right? Now we have this smoked pork fat that we can use for that. Let me just go through, pull the fat off. And what you'll see is just the jelly thereafter. Now what's left is just what I like to call liquid gold. Right now it's not so liquid because it's a little cold, but this stuff is a fantastic flavor. Using this, you don't need to use barbecue sauce. So now I take that. You can either heat it back up the pork is still pretty darn hot. And I like to leave a little fat in, remember, just don't want too much. If you dump all of this, it will be a little too salty, so you only do a little bit, or enough to make sure all of it's covered. Now we're just gonna make it nice and messy. If you want, you could put some barbecue sauce down, but you really aren't gonna need it. Put that right there. Okay, then we're gonna grab a little of this. Pickled onions. Hope you enjoy. Give it a try. Let us know. Make sure to follow us on Paradigm USA, on Twitter, on our YouTube page. We'll see you.